Hey y'all, welcome back to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, fringe candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
And y'all, it's good to be back after a nice week-long break. And of course, we're gone for a week, and wouldn't you know it, there's a new third party in America.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
We let our guard down?
We let our guard down and someone slipped through. This is on us, and it's unforgivable. Because one Andrew Yang, fourth place finisher in the New York City mayoral race.
No.
Winner of no electoral votes to my memory.
No, I will not be party to an Andrew Yang gang party.
It's going to happen, and I'm so sorry. I think that I wish I could remember who it was on Twitter who said this, but he clearly doesn't realize that he used up all of his goodwill to run for mayor, and that there's really nothing left right now, or at least so soon.
I'd say he was running for mayor on credit of goodwill.
Oh, yeah. And then he started having very strange opinions on targets being bodegas, and it was just all downhill from there. Either which way, he has a new book coming out, in which, according to the news folks I follow, apparently the last chapter in his new book is going to outline this brand new third party. Una, for $1,000 and a brand new Ford Taurus, what is the name of Andrew Yang's new third party?
The Yang Party?
You know what? That's better. It's called the Forward Party.
Ew.
It seems like it's going to be based on radical centrism. Either which way, the book comes out on October 5th, and I think I might be able to grift a copy of it. If so, I think we're going to do a whole episode on just that final chapter and maybe Andrew Yang's life and why the fuck this is happening to us now. And by grift it, I mean I will buy it on Amazon and then immediately return it. So we'll see how this.
I did not order this.
Oh no, I meant to get Mandrew Yang's book about getting swole. Yeah, so it's I'm not happy about this. It's been gangbusters for just really lackluster new third parties in America. Like, we still haven't gotten one good one yet.
This blows. Like, the Forward Party, I immediately think of the aliens from The Simpsons, Cronus and Kang, when they're making fun of the 2000 election.
Yep. Oh my God. It's so milquetoast and boring, and I know the platforms are going to be just as bad. Okay, I'm going to back up. Ages ago, A.O. Scott in the New York Times had this article about how there are no terrible movies anymore, which means that there are also like no great movies. Okay, Dusty, I can see your expression. I know you're going to jump in. I think I see what you're saying. Is all movies are good enough. It's like there's never been a big budget movie that's like, oh my God. I mean, look, Cats.
High risk, high reward. I will just
say Cats.
Yeah. Right. Cats had not happened yet. It was not even a glimmer in Jujubee. What I don't. Anyway, I think his main example was just like there has not been a bad, at the time of writing, there had not been a bad movie on par with Showgirls. Like, okay. And with that idea of just like, make bold choices. Sometimes you will fail horribly, but your name will still be etched in stone for making those big, bold actions. You know, I think anytime you use Showgirls as an example of something to strive for, really all you're doing is say, do a fuck ton of cocaine and hope for the best. Maybe that should have been the crux of his article. It's like, you know, thinking back on the 80s, of all the bad movies that existed, you could place the blame on cocaine 9 out of 10 times. Oh, for sure. And then we go into the fucking 90s and it's all about, it's like heroin. You're not going to make a bad movie on heroin. Everyone's going to die before it's done. You're going to take a nap. Yeah. At worst, you'll make Powder, the movie about a boy named Powder. Oh, Lord. So I feel like this is applicable to our third parties of like, no, like I need you to just get radical. Yeah. Not radically centrist. You know, to crib the Big Lebowski, you know, I mean, say what you want about the libertarians, but at least it's an ethos. Yes, honestly, yes. It's a rug that goes well with the room. It really does. It together. God damn it. Well, on that note, the more I was writing this episode, the more I kept thinking to myself, Dusty, why are you doing this? Oh no, this is not a good story. It's like an anthology. It's a bunch of stories. They're connected through one through line. This is like, have you ever seen the movie VHS? No. All right. It's a horror movie is usually like people find a bunch of VHS tapes and they're all found footage and it's like spookums and scary things occur. And as tradition, the scary thing is that like they have a VHS player. Yeah, well, yeah, they have to set up a very strange scenario where it's like we snuck into an old man's house and he's got a VHS player and a ton of tapes and we're going to watch them. And as is tradition, only
only 1 out of 4 of them are good. And I kind of feel like that's what I'm presenting you with here today. It's a bunch of weird stories held together by a very loose through line.
I love it.
And that through line is the 2012 Democratic primaries for president. So we kind of talked about this a little bit on the last episode, where the Occupy movement and Occupy Wall Street had kind of fallen apart when winter hit, as is tradition, with most outdoor protests. And when the spring arose, not a lot of people were still pushing forward. But in Iowa, the Occupy movement there decided they were going to try to occupy the caucuses. It did not go well because, as we said before, when you have no leadership, no one really knows what to do. And everyone just does what they think is best, which can work, but not if you have a goal.
Right. Yeah.
So I started looking into the rest of those primaries, and Una, I just kept finding the strangest shit. Because as we said before, typically with tradition, if you're an incumbent president, you typically do not have to face competition. And if you have no major competition, it's just a cakewalk. Some states will even cancel primaries and caucuses. It happened in 2012 with Barack Obama. It happened in 2020 with Trump in a number of states. And it's like, it's just kind of what happens. It sucks and it's kind of bullshit, but it happens.
But also maybe save the money. I don't know.
I mean, that's honest to God the best argument to do it. It really makes sense. And I think when I was mad in 2020 when the states were doing that for Trump, it felt more like collusion. But then when I started seeing that no one was voting for Bill Weld, no one was getting Weld fever. It's just like, nah, you guys made the right choice. Save that money. Put it towards a road.
Who is Bill Weld?
Oh, God. Bill Weld. The man was a governor. The man was a governor of a state. And he was Gary Johnson's vice presidential running mate for the Libertarian ticket in 2016.
Wow. And you're telling me I've never heard of him before?
Yeah, apparently no one gets very excited by the name Bill Weld.
President Weld. No, it just doesn't work.
Like, if you type in Bill Weld into a copy of Final Draft, I think Clippy shows up and asks if you're writing a spec script for the West Wing.
Yes.
It appears as though you're writing a boring lobbyist. Would you like some help?
It appears if you're going for a Sorkin style, all of your characters sound the same. Keep going.
What do I do if women show up? Whatever. Don't worry about it.
Woman. And then woman too.
Have you tried having less women? Oh yeah, politics. We talk about politics here. That's what we do. Anyway, yeah. So typically that's how it goes. But in 2012, I mean, Barack Obama was having a tough time. As we said in the last episode, his polling numbers weren't super great. And the man's been having a lot of really major issues. He ordered Dijon mustard in public on a hamburger of all fucking things. The man wore a tan suit.
Yep.
Dad
jeans.
A lot of dad jeans. He's also kind of been doing a lot of drone warfare that's been getting a lot of people killed.
Republicans were still racist. That didn't change.
That is true. There was still a pretty strong racist contingent. I mean, it's typically the sort of stuff that, like, for an incumbent presidency, none of these are the sorts of things that are going to cause some major candidate to stand up and say, I'll defeat this person. And like we said, Bernie almost did, and then he didn't because he got talked down, probably for good reason. But I think we need to pick up right after Iowa because this is when shit gets fucking nuts. This is like, I'm trying to think of a good analogy. I'm going to take a book out of my childhood. This is drinking half a case of Milwaukee's Best and then hopping on a four-wheeler in the woods. Nuts.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's the sort of...
it's trashy?
Oh, no. Yeah. Shit's going to get trashy. Shit is going to get buck wild, I believe is the term.
Yes.
Probably the most buck wild primary I've ever goddamn seen. And Una, no one remembers it. No one talks about it. It's like every single time I remember this, it's like the Mandela effect, but I know it fucking happened.
What happened?
I swear to God, that butterfly flapped its wings in Sierra Leone and we had a weird fucking primary.
Love it.
All right. We're going to go to New Hampshire. And if there's one thing that can always be relied upon in New Hampshire, it is that it is going to be fucking weird. So as we've said in earlier episodes, it is incredibly easy for most candidates to get on the ballot in a New Hampshire primary. The stakes are real low. The barrier to entry, super low. So you end up getting all the major candidates plus a ton of locals and a ton of people who every 4 years just really like making the trip to New Hampshire to try and be president just by running in one state.
When do the primaries take place? Like around what time of year?
They typically start in January or February.
See, this is nonsense. They should, I would be in favor of primaries either being pushed earlier or pushed later so that you could get some leaf peeping.
What? Oh my God, yes.
You gotta
see the colors change, man.
You gotta see the colors change. And, the panel of presidential candidates who are never going to make it.
Look, not gonna lie. If they had the primaries in the fall in New Hampshire, I'd be there every fucking 4 years. I'd go look at the leaves. I'd buy some fucking cider.
Yes.
I'd get a pumpkin that I'm going to pretend I can take on the airplane, even though I know I can't. That shit's getting fed to a deer. It's going to be great. No, we got to have it in fucking February. Nature's least favorite time in New Hampshire.
Least favorite. I mean, I guess it makes sense. for the inns and hotels there.
Yeah,
The little bump.
that does make sense. Yeah. And if you're going to New Hampshire in the winter, you got to really want it.
That's very true.
Yeah. If you're going to go door to door begging people to vote for you to be
How
president.
many more people would there be vying for a presidential ballot? Yeah, if it were beautiful out.
Yeah.
If it
Oh
were
my God.
crisp, no humidity.
Control. To take another page from my history, I was in a boy state back when I was a child. We'll talk about this in a future episode. But there is every floor of the dorm that you're staying at is a separate county. And the top floor of our dorm, the county, whenever someone came by and said, "Hey, I'm running for governor," they essentially made the process as awkward and as miserable as possible because they wanted every briefcase carrying weirdo to suffer. It was, looking back on it, I love what they did. Because you gotta want it. You gotta answer the tough questions of, hey, 10th grader, should sex work be legal in this state where it's nothing but dudes?
Yeah, where there's no female representation.
Not a one, but that's a story for another day. Either which way, New Hampshire, it's a primary. A bunch of weird folks show up, but it's also my personal favorite, the St. Anselm College lesser known candidates debate. It is a goddamn blast. They fit as many candidates on the stage as they can. Everyone gets a chance to talk, no matter who the fuck you are, as long as you're not violent or displaying very strong mental illness that needs to be taken care of. Welcome to the fucking stage. We want to hear what you goddamn have to say. And this debate would be where we would find the bulk of the people that we're going to talk about who decided they were going to be the folks to directly challenge Barack Obama. It didn't matter if they didn't have the name recognition or the money or a website. They were going to fucking do it. And the fact that none of these dudes did well enough in New Hampshire for us to talk about it, I think speaks volumes. But Barack would end up winning the Democratic primary there with 80.9% of the vote, which typically isn't very good if you're the only Democrat running in theory. You should be getting somewhere between 95 to 100% of the vote. So going through how that particular election turned out, it's very interesting that in fourth place with 2% of the vote, you had the former governor of Utah and Republican John Huntsman. In third with 3%, you had former governor of Massachusetts and Republican Mitt Romney. And in second, with 3.8% of the vote, you have Ron Paul.
This is for the Democratic primary?
Yep. Ron Paul came in second in the Democratic primary in New Hampshire.
Yeah, I feel like you need to grade that 80% on a curve and factor in racism. And just
these were all write-in votes also. Like none of these guys were on the ballot.
What? There was
3.8% of the people who voted in the Democratic primary in New Hampshire wrote in Ron Paul.
Wrote in Ron Paul's name.
Mm-hmm. Wrote it down. Said enough people are doing this, they will count it. And they did.
Like, again, making it so you have to want it. And they wanted Rand Paul enough to write his whole name for the Democratic Party. This is nuts.
It is a short name. So if your hands are cold and you got to get home, I mean, it is an option.
Yeah, but I really don't like the guy.
Well, I mean, it sucks to suck. But yeah, I mean, the man came in second place and you can't take that away.
Wow.
But you know what? The New Hampshire primary is always fucking weird. Strange stuff happens there all the time. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's a place where David Duke won the vice presidential primary when that was a goddamn thing. It's a weird place.
Like, I know Stephen King is Maine based, but I feel like that whole area, there's just a little touch of like the strange.
A little bit. It's very much a fuck you, I won't do what you tell me attitude.
It's on their license plate. That's exactly what it is.
So this would be a blip on the campaign trail. And Obama would cruise to an easy win in Nevada, and then an uncontested victory in South Carolina. By the Missouri primary in February, Barack had gained 174 of the 1,620 delegates he would need to win the nomination. But if there was a canary in this really weird coal mine, Missouri was about to be a moment where that little yellow bird would begin to freak the fuck out. And this is because while Barack won with 88.4% of the vote, a full 6.3% went to uncommitted.
So rude.
And if something was wrong, President Obama's campaign would have a full month to right the ship before the next primary, the infamous Super Tuesday. So in the American primary system, there are a few Super Tuesdays, but the one that we talk about ad nauseum during the election cycles occurs the first Tuesday in March. And on this day, instead of just one state having a primary, a whole group of states have them all at the same time. And it is general goddamn chaos because the states aren't exactly in the same area. They're kind of all over the country in different time zones. And it's never the same each election. It always kind of shifts and changes. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, and it's not like you're getting 30 cents off your big gulp or anything. Like, I don't know. I feel there should be more better American tie-ins for Super Tuesdays. I mean, aside from exercising your right to vote, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But it's also usually the time that if a candidate does badly enough, then their chances of winning are completely struck down to nearly nothing. And most will drop out after Super Tuesday if it goes poorly. So on March 6th of 2012, 8 states and the territory of American Samoa held their primaries. Kind of. Because in Colorado, Georgia, and Ohio, the only option would be Barack Obama. while Virginia just canceled their primary entirely, declaring Obama the de facto winner. And while people were more distracted by Mitt Romney and Rick Santorum trying to out-religion each other, the mainstream news would miss some pretty bonkers results on the Democratic side. Once again, uncommitted refused to be pushed aside. In Massachusetts, non-existence was the only other option to Barack Obama, and it ended up with 10.9% of the vote.
Holy cow.
Down in Tennessee, the empty void was also the only other option that people had to choose from, and it won 11.5% of the vote. And without an ounce of campaigning or ads since Iowa, uncommitted was beginning to gain ground. Granted, these results weren't even close enough to win any delegates, but at this rate, honestly, Una, who knows what could happen, especially when the weirdest moment had just occurred over in Oklahoma. And it's here we introduce ourselves to the first flesh and bone candidate to challenge Barack Obama, a mysterious recluse named Jim Rogers. Now, as is recluse tradition, there isn't a ton of information out there about Jim. He did a very good job.
It's a pure recluse.
Oh, 100%. He's I don't know. I was reading about garden hermits being a thing where you're just like a rich, wealthy family in the British countryside pays you to be a hermit on their property.
For fun? For like flavor?
Yeah. Just be like, oh, there's a hermit. He lives over there. We could kick him out, but he's so quaint.
Where do I sign up?
I don't know. From what I read, it historically was a terrible job because you had to never talk to anyone. You couldn't go down to the pub for a drink off hours. You couldn't do fucking anything. You were living in that cave and you were talking to birds.
Oh, what? Okay. So what they were looking for was like that guy who quote unquote lived off the land for like 12 years in Maine, but he didn't live off the land. He just stole like propane tanks and food out of people's houses.
I don't know why I thought you were talking about Ted Kaczynski, but I know for a fact now that you're not.
I'm definitely not. I'm talking about like millennial Ted Kaczynski.
Oh my God. Just stealing propane from propane.
There's no manifesto. There's just no manifesto, just bad teeth.
Oh no. Yeah, hermits do not have good dental insurance. It's one of the downfalls.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Hermit living aside. Jim, exactly. What's his face?
So according to the Oklahoman, the fact that we really don't know much about Jim is mainly due to the fact that, quote, Jim prefers to do his interviews in person, refuses to be videotaped, and is often guarded when asked personal questions.
Oh, but he's going to run for president.
He's going to run for many things, Una.
Oh, no.
So we do know that he was born in Oklahoma in 1935. Don't really know where. He would eventually go to the University of Wyoming, where he got his graduate degree in physics in 1973. And then we get another grad degree in 1974, this time for curriculum instruction. And he would follow up getting this degree by teaching, I assume, physics at Seminole State College in Florida, Connors State College in Oklahoma, and Langston University, Oklahoma's only historically black college or university. And it's unclear why, but at some point, Jim left the world of academia and moved to Midwest City, which is like a suburb of Oklahoma City. He bought a tract of land and found a way to eke out a living via selling oil and gas rights. And now that he didn't have to work, Jim would be able to begin his retirement plan, becoming the king gadfly of Oklahoma politics. So in 2002, Jim made his first run for U.S. Senate in the Democratic primary. And it was a pretty big long shot to begin with, but a few extra details of how Jim ran would make it even harder. For one, he never made a website for his campaign, which in 2002, kind of understandable.
Yeah.
He also didn't have any social media, which again in 2002, also understandable. He never ran ads, and he didn't really feel the need to take part in any debates. And he also refused all campaign donations that were ever attempted to be made to him. But on his most recent run, it appears that Jim's whole campaign tactic was to make a red sweater that just said Jim Rogers for Senate and to hold a white piece of poster board that stated that he was running for Senate. And really a bunch of random words that I really can't clearly figure out what he's trying to say. Because at one point it just says jobs, and then another part says Boeing. And it's very, very hard to figure out.
Right. It's like, so for, against, are they connected? Is this
it's Boeing?
Are we just blue skying some ideas here?
Una, jobs.
But like where?
Jim Rogers,
how?
Senate. Do you like my sweater? I used iron on letters. Do not videotape me. So he would then wear his custom red sweater and take his giant piece of white poster board to a street corner in Midwest City and stand there from dawn to dusk, taking occasional breaks to campaign in person at local stores and restaurants. And it should also be noted that he last updated his sign in 2004 and has been using the same one since. It is not in good shape.
Yeah, no, that was a long time ago.
I mean, you know how strong poster board is. I think anyone in middle school knows how quickly their grade is dead due to the strength of poster board. So for his first campaign, just standing on the corner and holding up a sign was enough for him to finish third in the Democratic primary with 9.9% of the vote.
Okay.
So I think it's
almost 2 digits.
Yeah, I think it's good to know at this point, too, that the Democratic Party in Oklahoma, not exactly what one would call a battleground.
Not exactly what one would call existing.
Yeah, it's not great. If you're a Democrat in Oklahoma City, maybe Tulsa, yeah, you could probably eke out a career. Anything beyond that, anything for statewide office, man, you gotta hope the person person you're challenging murdered like a whole bus of kids or something. And even then, it better be on tape.
Right. And then is also recently dead. And even then.
The kids killed him. It's the most gnarly thing you'll ever see on Live Leak.
Oh my God.
So he would again run for Senate, the Democratic primary in 2004. Once again, he finished third, this time with 5.7% of the vote. In 2006, without a Senate race to run for, Jim instead hopped into the Democratic primary for lieutenant governor. And this time he would finish last, but with 12.6% of the vote. And seemingly just for the fuck of it, he also ran for president as a Democrat in 2008. And based on the popular vote, Jim would finish ninth, well behind all the major candidates, but still somehow netting 3,905 votes.
Oh, with nothing but a poster board and a sweater.
Never leaving Midwest City, just standing on the corner, just building that name recognition and spending no money at all.
Man's doing numbers.
At the same time, though, Jim was making a third run at Senate. And this time, only 2 candidates entered, including Jim. And while Jim did come in second, he did so with 40% of the vote. And by this point, Jim was starting to gain a bit of a cult status for Oklahoma Democrats, mainly because in a state where statewide and federal candidates stand next to zero of a chance of winning their election, it gets a bit tough to find folks who are willing to run multiple times and build their name. Jim, however, was putting in the work, even if that work only included certain corners of an Oklahoma City suburb. And when 2010 rolled around, once again, a Senate race was there waiting for Jim to hop on in. And once again, he was only one of 2 candidates, this time facing off against Oklahoma City Attorney Mark Miles. And Miles ran his campaign in the exact same opposite fashion as Jim, mainly by making appearances across the state and campaigning and having various forms of online media to advertise his campaign, which helped him lose to Jim.
Shut up.
That's right. Jim Rogers would become the official Democratic nominee for Senate in Oklahoma by a margin of 65 to 35.
The power of word of mouth and a sweater.
Really great. So a lot of people in the wake of this are trying to figure out what the fuck happened. So the Oklahoman calls Jim to try to at least get a reaction out of him. And they had to note that Jim could not be reached for comment.
Yeah, he's a recluse.
Exactly. You think he wants to talk on the phone? I don't want to talk on the phone. And I go outside.
You know what? If anything, that's why I'm voting for him.
Exactly. Look,
he gets it.
The dude seems genuinely wonderful. I haven't read a single bad word about Jim Rogers other than the fact that he will not pick up his phone. And if he doesn't want to talk to you, he will not.
I mean, I respect that.
So it's pretty unclear what it was that actually pushed Jim over the top this time around. I mean, it very well could be name recognition just from him running so many times. But based on my research, the state media hadn't really started any kind of reporting on Jim and his atypical campaigning by this point. One possible explanation is that there was another Democrat named Jim Rogers who was running for county commissioner at the same time in Sequoyah County. And he was advertising in volumes that could best be described as a literal fuck ton. Just every day, it's always him in this fucking ads being like, you should vote for Jim Rogers for county commissioner. He's great. Here's his picture. Fucking do it. I donate to places. Fucking vote for me. And the dude would end up winning. It was a bit of an upset victory for him, but yeah, he ends up winning.
Oh.
And so maybe people assumed, oh, he's running for county commissioner and U.S. Senate? Damn, Jim.
Fuck it, yeah.
Where do you find the time?
Or they get there and they're like, who's the one with the sweater? Ah, fuck it.
Look, I have 30 minutes on my lunch break to vote. I'm not going to think this through. It's fine. If Jim wants to be a Democrat running for Senate, that's his nightmare to bear. But then again, Sequoyah County only has a population of about 72,000 people, of which 11,000 consider themselves to be Democrats, which is actually pretty high for Oklahoma. The county at the time was about 50% Democrat. So
wow.
It's kind of pretty big numbers. And Jim Rogers in that election would end up winning about 54% of the vote, but that still doesn't account to how the fuck Jim Rogers, the Senate candidate in Recluse, somehow got 65%. But if you ask the local press as to why Jim would end up winning his primary, they settled on a really weird reason, and that would be his last name. You see, Oklahoma is home to a very famous dude by the name of Will Rogers, who was a famous actor, comedian, and professional cowboy in the 1930s. He had been born in Oklahoma when the state was the Indian Territory, which is a parcel of land set aside for the Creek, Seminole, and Cherokee peoples who had been forced out of their homes in the eastern part of America. And then in 1889, that land would be immediately stolen from them during a land rush. So, huzzah.
Because fuck your contracts that we wrote to get you to come to this land in the first place.
Boomer sooner, baby.
Oof.
Yeah, it really sucks when you realize that the entire football chant for the University of Oklahoma is based on people stealing land and just furthering genocide.
Oh.
It's a real bummer.
Yeah.
Anyway. So Will Rogers would also become one of the earliest actors to make much of their public persona very focused on politics. He ran a mock campaign for president in 1928, where he set out to prove that campaigning in person was complete bullshit. He only ran ads in Life magazine during the whole stunt, and surprise, surprise, he didn't win any votes. He did spend a short period of time also as the mayor of Beverly Hills, which was a purely ceremonial position then, as it is now, but he also set the bar for all future political satirists in the future, creating witty turns of phrase that everyone could understand and appreciate. His most famous being, quote, quote, "I'm not a member of any organized political party. I'm a Democrat."
Oh,
Yeah,
that old lark.
true as it's always been.
It's like Bob Hope New Deal jokes where they're just making fun of Democrats the whole day. It's like, wow, things have really changed.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing about Will Rogers too is like he was a person of color fucking killing it in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about Will Rogers. So that's the general, it's kind of a long way of saying what political consultant Ben Odom told the Daily Oklahoman in 2010. Quote, "Voters probably went to the polls not knowing either one of the names. They saw Rogers and said, 'Oh, I've heard that one before,' and voted Jim Rogers."
Sure. Fuck it.
And Jim
Yeah.
Rogers would make a statement saying, "I am not related to Will Rogers."
It's a different Rogers completely.
I hate that you're making me talk about my private life, but I also don't want to grift anyone. I don't
hate
want to
that
win out of a ruse.
I hate that you're making me talk. Full stop.
Oh my God, he would send a telegraph. Not related to Will Rogers. Stop. I hate this. Stop.
Stop.
Stop calling me. Stop. So that being said, Jim did have a campaign platform. His sole issues were to improve the number of jobs in America, so jobs, and to increase interest in shopping at local businesses. That's it. So those two things. Shop local, have job. Boeing.
Yeah, we're just all right.
And, you know, I mean, it's a message that he probably could have gotten out if only the state Democratic Party could get a hold of him. Chairman Todd Goodman stated they had tried multiple times to get Jim to pick up the phone, but couldn't so much as even leave a message. Dude did not have an answering machine.
Of course not. He's not going to call back.
Nope. Todd had stated the party did have a couple of conversations with him, but they were infrequent and short. Mark Miles, who would run against him, would also say it was like running against a ghost.
That's awesome.
So it really shouldn't be any surprise at all that Jim would get crushed in the general election, losing to incumbent Republican Senator Tom Coburn by 71-26. Which brings us back to 2012. Jim is running for president again, and this time, dude's back on the ballot in Oklahoma. And you bet, he has no press. There's no web presence. And yeah, he's still campaigning on various street corners with the same sign he's had since 2004, wearing a shirt, "Vote for me for Senate," even though he's running for president. But fuck it, he's doing it. But before we talk about how well he did, we also have to talk about his other big competition. An old B-side of the podcast, a real deep dive, if you will. A dude by the name of Randall Terry, who is a guy that we've actually talked about very briefly.
Amazing.
So Randall was born in 1959 in New York City. And frankly, I have no interest in his childhood or his origin story. And this is because the man is a true fuck of the highest caliber. In 1986, at the age of 27, Randy would found a group that would become famous nationwide called Operation Rescue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. To put it simply, the group was a very active anti-abortion organization. Terry would found the group with a simple model. Quote, "If you believe abortion is murder, act like it's murder." Which, you know, could be a pretty dangerous way to look at it, because I don't think many of us like murder and would do a number of things to stop a murder.
It always seems to include murder, the stopping of their supposed murder.
Well, I think to be fair, we do need to look at Randall's first foray into his former protest of treating it like it's murder. So Randy started things off in 1986 by chaining himself to a sink in an abortion clinic. And I want to break this down. So I'm assuming that he chained himself to a sink in the bathroom, which means that people could still enter and exit the building, but the bathroom, yeah, it's probably closed. But worst case scenario, employee bathrooms are a thing and patients could use those facilities. Really, Randy would probably just be a loud nuisance locked off in a bathroom, which, it being New York City, I mean, it's a Tuesday, and it'd be potentially traumatic for the patients, but really, it wouldn't stop any of the procedures in any way from actually happening. So this leads me to believe that if a murder was happening near Randy, he would handcuff himself to something in a different room, hereby stopping the murder. You did it, Randy. I mean, I'm glad that he's not, you know, going out there and bombing clinics and shooting people, but it's a very aggressive motto for I'm gonna do a civil disobedience.
Yeah, it's a real, I'm gonna fuck things up. Watch me. I'm doing it.
I'm gonna fuck things up, Dad.
Yes.
Then we'll see who needs to get a job. So either way, the group would begin attracting hundreds of members, all intrigued by employing direct action against women's health clinics. In 1987, police in Cherry Hill, New Jersey would end up arresting 150 Operation Rescue members as they conduct a sit-in at the Cherry Hill Women's Center. And while Operation Rescue had delayed the center's ability to open, they hadn't been aware that the center also had an alternative site to conduct all the services that had been scheduled for that day. But the center was also a bit on edge. And this was mainly due to a few years prior, they had been firebombed by a different set of protesters.
Yeah.
In April of 1988, Randall's group had grown to the point that they were ready for their next big push. They were going to have a protest so large that every abortion clinic in New York City would have to close. The group was planning for 1,000 demonstrators to arrive from all over the country, and they would picket the 60 clinics in the 5 boroughs over the course of 1 week. And to prepare for these protests, the state Supreme Court ordered that no more than 2 protesters could approach women entering a clinic, and the city reminded protesters that they would be arrested if they blocked the doors. Good job.
So you told everyone, and then
Look, guys, don't block the doors. And if you gotta harass someone, do it in groups of 2.
Hey guys, we are going balls to the wall with this. Dave, you got the permits, right?
Yes, I do.
For active civil disobedience. Great. So the city government knows. Awesome. We are good to go.
Now, everyone, be sure to buddy up with your harassment pair. It's very important. This way, we don't have groups just diving in. We got to treat this like Chicago improv. Unless someone taps you in, don't go on stage.
Nope. Respect the yes and.
Yes, you want to get an abortion, and God doesn't like that.
And I don't want you to.
It's still a no. Terrible scene partner.
I'm still in the scene, man.
Randy, this is why you have to take the intro class. You can't just skip. Anyway, so the Supreme Court's like, all right, here are the rules in place. Everyone will be fine. And this prompted a member of Operation Rescue to state to the press that they plan on putting 200-pound concrete blocks in front of the clinic doors.
Fucking amateurs.
Yeah, and honestly, like that just sounds to me like I'm not blocking anything. I'm not doing it, man. I don't know where that block showed up from. This has been here.
None of it. Yeah, and then what's going to happen is they're going to lift with their back, not with their knees. They're going to need medical attention, which is going to come from the abortion clinics.
Yep. And it also really didn't help that they had this brazen attitude, mainly because they had a very powerful ally in their corner. You know them. You might hate them. It's the Archdiocese of New York.
Every time.
Yep. Cardinal O'Connor's got to show up and shove his dick in something that doesn't want it.
Ugh, the worst.
It's, oh my God. Yeah. And so essentially this whole time the church is like, I'm not saying they should break the law, but we're going to be there.
We just think it's a great idea.
And they have been pushing this protest for fucking months. So on May 3rd of 1988, the protest would begin at a doctor's office on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. The protesters blocked the entrance, which led to 503 people being arrested that day. But just as planned, the office had been unable to open. So the next day, bolstered by the success, the group went to Elmhurst in Queens, and once again shut down a clinic for the whole day, resulting in 422 arrests. Now on day 3 is where Randall would fuck up. And this was because he wanted everyone to go out to the Long Island city of Hempstead. So to give you an idea of how fucked up that is, Buddha, it would be as if you and I showed up to a protest in downtown Chicago, and they said, all right, guys, we're going to Joliet.
Oh, God.
And there are people from outside the city who are having to do this, who are now having to like go onto the Long Island Transit, a train system that is also a boxing ring. And huge surprise, after, 925 people being arrested in 2 days and multiple city judges threatening to increase fines on protesters who had already gotten arrested for criminal trespass, it didn't really result in that many people wanting to go out to Nassau County.
No.
In total, 15 people showed up.
I'm honestly impressed.
Yeah, I mean, for those, I almost want to say those 15 already lived in Hempstead.
You know what? That's it. Yeah, they had a car and they could get to it.
Like, no one from fucking Staten Island is going to take the train all the way to fucking Grand Central and then hop to Long Island. They're not going to fucking do that. They could protest an abortion clinic at home.
It's like there was another 15, but they accidentally got on the jitney to the Hamptons.
Guys, I think I'm in DC.
Wait, why does the sign say Montauk? Where am I?
Is everything so pretty? But also kind of another thing that was really starting to throw a wrench into plans is that the National Organization for Women and the abortion clinics who had already been protested placed a suit against Operation Rescue on that Wednesday. And the thing though is they kind of went about it in a really dumb way because they were seeking damages under RICO, which if any of you have ever followed YouTube legal channels, it's never RICO. You can never.
It's the lupus of the law community.
100%. Yeah. And that's because the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act was entirely created to take down the American mafia and literally nothing else. It was written just to fuck with the mafia. Unless you are the mafia, you can never be found guilty of RICO.
No, it's the only reason you're starting to hear RICO again in the news a little bit is because it might actually somewhat apply to some of the indictments against the Trump organization. Again, because Trump wants to think of himself as like John Gotti.
Yeah. Look, I'm not going to say that Donald Trump has long and detailed histories of cozying up to the American mafia in ways that are both easy to find and very well detailed.
Yes.
So maybe RICO.
Yes. So in that sense, sure, RICO.
Yeah, that's your best chance at RICO right now. And even that might not work. Either which way, it was pretty much going to be the steepest of uphill climbs, but I think they were also just trying to fuck with them as quickly as possible, and RICO made the most sense in the moment. So after that really huge failure of a day, on the 4th day, Terry brought everyone back to the Upper East Side to protest at the same doctor's office where everything had started. And this resulted in another 320 arrests. And instead of shutting down the clinic for the day, the NYPD did what they did and got very violent and arrested everyone by 9:30.
For once, the system worked.
Look, I'm not going to say the system worked. I'm just saying that some people got to see what the NYPD is like to everyone else.
That's accurate. Yes.
Use it as a learning lesson. I doubt you did, but here's hoping. And yeah, I mean, these are impressive numbers. Over a 4-day period, they got 1,600 people arrested, but they didn't come even close to shutting down all the abortion clinics in New York City because they really only shut down 2 out of the 60 that existed. So the real fun of all this is that in 1994, the suit that was filed by the National Organization for Women would finally end up reaching the Supreme Court. And while the court made it very clear that they probably wouldn't win in the charge of violating RICO, the risk was enough for Randall Terry to settle out of court for an undisclosed sum.
Wow.
And then Randy immediately declared bankruptcy to get out of paying any money, which did inspire Chuck Schumer to pass a law to make that illegal.
Hey.
It didn't end up getting passed, but he tried.
Oh, Chucky.
But it would work for a while. And in 1998, Terry was forced to give the National Organization of Women 25,000 frequent flyer miles. Which
What?
immediately I'm like, is that worth a lot of money? Is it a little money? And the little bit of research that I did in today's frequent flyer miles, that would be enough for 1 free round from Miami to Seattle.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's at least something, I guess. But
Yeah, I guess it's not like Chuck E. Cheese tokens. I guess.
he burned all of his tickets the day after the lawsuit got filed.
Yeah.
God damned if they take those like wavy arm things you put on your fingers. So in the following years, Randall would find himself on the shitty side of many things. He would organize a series of protests in Missouri where his organization demanded that a woman by the name of Nancy Cruzen be kept on life support. So in 1983, Nancy Cruzen would be thrown from her car during an accident and be found unresponsive by paramedics. She was able to be resuscitated, but was diagnosed with being in a vegetative state. A feeding tube was inserted and she would remain in an unresponsive coma for 5 years. By 1988, her parents requested that hospital staff remove her feeding tube and allow her to pass. The thing is, though, the hospital would end up refusing this due to needing Nancy herself to personally make that request. Kind of hard to do when you're in a coma. So her parents would end up getting a court order to allow the removal of the tube, but then the state of Missouri appealed the decision and the Supreme Court of the state reversed the decision. Nancy's parents would end up pushing it all the way to the Supreme Court. And the court found in favor of 5-4 for the Cruzen family, with weirdly enough, Antonin Scalia being the deciding vote.
Really?
Yeah, which I think kind of makes sense because he is very much that sort of like uber libertarian rights for everyone sort of guy. And it's very interesting to me that this is the thing where he's like, it's technically pro-choice, but for some reason he's like, yeah, this is fine.
Right. Yeah, I guess.
And essentially what the court decided was if there was clear and convincing evidence that the removal of life support would have been the patient's desire for the state that they were in, then that would be enough for the removal of a feeding tube. And Nancy's parents produced evidence, and in 1990, 7 years after her accident, Nancy was finally allowed to pass in peace. And while Randall was on the wrong side of this, this is actually the particular case established the right to death as we know it today.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah.
Nice.
So thanks for being on the wrong side of that one, you asshole. So by 1991, Randall had stepped down from leading Operation Rescue, but continued his anti-choice advocacy. And really, it seems like all he did was make things harder for himself. Because in 1994, he would be named as a defendant in the new Supreme Court case that established that any protest at an abortion clinic needed to have a buffer to allow patients privacy and freedom to seek medical services. So through all of his work, all he established was that only 2 people could talk to a patient at a time. You have to have a buffer zone now. You have to stay away from the building to a certain amount.
Yeah.
It's not working, dude.
Yes, congratulations. You have upped patient advocacy.
Oh no, did he do a good? Did he realize it?
He tripped on his dick and did it good.
But if Randy was still doing this work, then why the fuck did he step down from his own organization? Well, you see, old he's got the bug to run for fucking office. This country's got problems and only Randy can fix it. And as a highly controversial figure, Randy's sudden move into politics could be considered a bold move. Not only would he need to run in a highly conservative district, but he would have to find one where either the incumbent Republican wasn't running for re-election or was at risk of losing their seat due to good old-fashioned New York corruption. And Randall would end up choosing the 23rd district as his main target. And this would be home to the cities of Rome and Oneonta. It's pretty much just a huge tract of rural land in upstate New York. The incumbent was a dang old stake in the grass, a real piece of shit by the name of Sherwood Boehlert. You know, it's the sort of name you'd expect to be a real asshole. So let me check my notes here. I'm sure I haven't embarrassed myself. Sherwood Boehlert was an incumbent since 1982 who pushed heavily for genuine environmental protections and had never once gone to jail for bribes and never would. Yeah, so he was actually a really good guy and was thoroughly beloved by his constituents. He was actually one of the lead proponents to try to stop acid rain from being a thing.
Oh, Sherwood.
Yeah, he's like, you know, when I say, I'm sure there's Republicans I would get along with, I'm thinking of Sherwood Boehlert. He's the guy. Like, put him on a pedestal. I'm sure we would disagree about many things, but we would have good conversations about it and might go anything. I don't know.
He cared about his constituents.
Yeah. And for some reason, Randy's like, this is the guy. I'm going to take down this guy.
This is easy picking.
And yeah, it didn't go great, predominantly because Randy was only able to get the nomination from New York's Right to Life Party, which was New York's got, we've talked about, New York has a very weird political system and a lot of parties that only exist within their state. And the Right to Life Party had been created as an anti-abortion party and nothing else. And so usually it was a way of either endorsing Republicans or protesting against them if they were pro-choice. And since Sherwood Boehlert was a pro-choice man, they decided to run Randall Terry, and he would finish third with 4% of the vote.
Suck on that, Terry.
So Randy would sit things out for about 6 years, nurse his wounds, and throughout this time quietly building an out-of-state coalition of support for his next run. By 1998, he had gotten the endorsement of James Dobson of the Focus on the Family Foundation, a real crackerjack group of complete fucks, mainly because they're very homophobic, evangelistic, anti-Semitic. Focus on the Family is very heteronormative. They have very strong opinions about single mothers and things they should be doing and things they shouldn't be doing, and why aren't you married yet? Really awful group of people. But at the time, in the late 80s, early 90s, James Dobson's a pretty big get.
Yeah.
So instead of running on the 23rd, Terry decides he's going to go somewhere else. He's going to go to the 26th district. And, you know, it ticked a bit more southeast of his previous target. And now with Dobson's endorsement, it seemed to be kind of a shoo-in to take the Republican primary. The thing, though, is the 26th district was also extremely liberal. The incumbent Maurice Hinchey was, once again, a beloved pro-environment congressman who supported pro-choice laws. And like Boehlert, he would never be arrested and only once got in trouble with the law for accidentally bringing a gun in his carry-on when he was going to the airport. This happened a little bit after 9/11, so it was a bit of an issue.
Oh, no.
But, Maurice had been carrying a gun with him since the 80s because much of his political career in the 80s was trying to shut down the mafia, and it kind of required having a gun.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Give the man the gun. All right.
Yeah, that's why he didn't get arrested. And I'm sure the airport was just like, don't do this again.
Just like, keep an eye out.
Look, most of us are Teamsters. We get it. Can do that. Well, you know, who knows? Maybe if he takes the GOP primary, he'll be able to prove that the district is actually very conservative and anti-choice. Turns out, though, not even the local Republicans supported Randy. He would end up losing to Bud Walker, a guy I really couldn't find much of anything about, by 54 to 34.
Wow. I mean,
it's such
a strong name.
I know.
Walker.
Walker's a really good name. It's like, you know, we always say you can trust a buddy on this podcast. I think of Bud Walker, you probably can trust him, like at least during the evening. If you're at a party, you'll be like, Bud's probably going to bring me a beer at some point when I'm low.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. And so he had to kind of go to his fallback, the Conservative Party of New York, which is there if, you know, the Republican's not conservative enough. And he lost to Walker again, 52 to 48. So having lost both, Randall had to settle for his old friends in the Right to Life Party to stay in the race. And yeah, he'd get 7% of the vote, but he finished well behind Hitchey and Walker. So Randall would stay out of politics for about a decade after that.
Good. Get off my lawn, Randy.
It blows my mind. It's like, clearly you're not running in the right district if you're serious about winning. This is just, I don't know if he was...
Do you even know how to read polls?
Well, here's the thing, is I think he was doing some grandstanding, and I think I can prove this with the next race that he ran in. Because in 2006, he would move down to Florida to run in the Republican primary for state senate in the 8th district against incumbent Jim King Jr. Now, this move seems to be based entirely on the fact that Jim was one of the few Republican state senators who voted in support of allowing Terry Schiavo to die with dignity.
This Michigas. I was waiting for her name to show up.
So Jim also happened to be the state senate president and another dude that the local electorate completely loved. So I'm sure with Randall coming down to Florida, carpetbagging his way into the fucking neighborhood.
Seriously?
He's going to buy a house and immediately run for state senate against a dude who everyone loves. It went bad. He ended up, well, and that's the thing is when he went down there, he also decided to act as holier than thou as he could. His main campaign argument was that Jim King once went to a strip club.
Let the man live. It's Florida. That gets him votes.
Well, it's described as a bikini bar also, so I'm just picturing it being like, it's not even a strip club, man.
No.
Like, you're getting a lukewarm Bud Light given to you by a woman who is making more money than either of us will see in our entire lives.
Yeah, that's a Florida bodega.
God damn it. Oh my God. It does burn me that in The Good Place, Jason Mendoza never once brought up a bikini bar. And so he's going out there trying to act like the religious option to Jim King Jr., who was a man who I will quite honestly say, if you're basing it on looks, he looks like the sort of dude who would rather go to a barbecue than church, and I don't think anyone really cares. Like, he's there on Christmas. He's there for midnight to sing Amazing Grace, and then everyone goes home. It's fine.
Yeah.
Jim got me a great deal on a used Toyota. What am I going to do, not vote for him?
Come on. I had that gator problem last fall. He helped me out with it.
That gator has not been back since Jim talked to him. It was very civil and terrifying. So of course Randy lost the Republican primary, 67-33.
Good. Get off my lawn, Randy.
How many lawns do you own?
It's a different lawn. This one has that weird mean grass shrubbery that Florida has.
Oh, I love it. Perfect. Yeah, you should not be on that grass. You work
No,
really
it
hard
cuts
on
your
that.
feet up.
This is the kind of grass that Jim Rogers has in his front yard. Like,
He
shouldn't
walks
be a
on it
walkway?
barefoot. He can do anything.
I love the legend of Jim Rogers that we're starting here.
Absolutely.
Which brings us back to 2012, kind of. Now, you see, longtime listeners might remember that we brought up Randall Terry in our 3-episode arc on Alan Keyes. So Randy and Alan had both made their way to Notre Dame University in 2009 to protest the university's decision of this Catholic university allowing a pro-choice president to give the commencement speech at that year's graduation. This would result in Randy getting arrested twice, mainly because Notre Dame has a law that you can't protest on university grounds unless you're a student, because otherwise it's weird.
Otherwise, you would have a lot of nutty Catholics just everywhere.
Guys, I know we're founding this university now, and it might not seem like a problem, but we need this fucking rule.
Oh, no, we definitely do. Everyone's on board with this rule.
Great. Our 2 rules. Genders will never mix at any point in time ever, and only locals. Only locals on the green.
Locals on the green, a ring of bars, and then a ring of motels surrounding the hotel in perpetuity.
Look, I don't know anything closer to heaven. And so Randy seemed to make it his life's goal after getting arrested twice to deny Barack Obama a second term, which is entirely his stated purpose for officially changing his party registration from Republican to Democrat, moving to the tiny town of Perkitsville, West Virginia, and entering the 2012 primaries as a Democrat. Now, Randy would openly admit that he had no chance of beating Obama in the primary. He would state, quote, "My goal will be to run these ads and to campaign in swing states and cause him to drop by 5 points and thereby deny him the White House. He is the arch child killer in the Western Hemisphere."
What?
Yeah, I mean, that's proof. That's proven. The man needs Dijon mustard. I don't know if you can trust him around children.
Yeah, when you hear thanks, Obama, it's thanks for all the baby killing, Obama.
Thanks for making my airplane ride quieter, Obama.
Okay, when you put it like that.
We support the worst things here on this podcast. Aside from thruples and cocaine now. It is.
Yeah.
Now, what he means by ads is, I'm going to ask you to think back to your undergrad days. Did you ever have a moment where a flatbed truck would drive through town and on the back of it, there would just be a picture of a dead fetus next to, say, a quarter?
Oh, Dusty, we may have both gone to college in Ohio, but we went to very different college towns.
Yeah.
That never drove through Oberlin.
It only did in Athens once, and people, I think, made their week there the worst, and so they never came back. But yeah, whenever that truck goes by, it's just like, yeah, that's really gross and weird, but also, who gave that baby money? What's that baby going to do with cash? It's insulting. Either which way, that sort of gruesome imagery of aborted fetuses becoming posters and things like that, that was a very huge thing for Randall Terry and something you could thank Operation Rescue for. And part of his ads was he wanted to run a commercial with that kind of gruesome imagery, not just on TV, but during the fucking Super Bowl. Now, he would end up being denied airtime. And this is mainly because channels have a pretty big no politics rule during the Super Bowl, because due to equal air sharing and things like that, if they run one political campaign, then they got to run them all, and this is like the time to make your fucking money for the year.
Yeah.
So we get
campaign money is already insane enough.
I'm not cutting those fucking horses running around telling you to buy Budweiser. Not happening.
Yeah, supermodel eating a Carl's Jr. burger while pitching GoDaddy. No,
it's what people want.
That's putting my kids through college, man.
You are not going to fuck this for me, Randy. I swear to God. You've seen your video. It is not funny, and it is not sexy. Those are 2 of the 3 pillars of Super Bowl commercials.
It'll get people talking, but for all the wrong reasons. I will be out of a job.
I might run this in the 4th quarter, but we got to save that for the weirdest local ads. So the other big issue, though, is that to run that commercial, it would have cost Randy $2.5 million to run it.
I was going to say, the man is still bankrupt after getting a get out of, jail card.
That's really cruel of you to say. He had to give up his frequent flyer miles.
I still can't fucking believe that's not legal tender.
Like, how sad would you have to be as the lawyer for the National Organization of Women just to be like, guys, I have bad news and I have weird news. The weird news is also bad. Yeah, and so it would have cost him $2.5 million to run the ad. And by the end of his campaign, he had only been able to raise about $270,000. So I don't know where this money would have come from or who he would have taken it from, but it would have had to have been a campaign contribution for him to run the ad, I think. So he either would have had to use his own money, either which way, some campaign finance weirdness would have had to have happened for him 100%. To be able to run it. But this didn't stop him from essentially claiming that he was being censored by the lamestream media and big football. So if there's anything we've learned about people like Randall Terry, they fucking love to be victims.
I just, ooh, big football. Yeah, as opposed to what? You were the one trying to get a commercial during the biggest football night.
Yeah.
It's all big football.
Exactly.
All of it.
Like, they might have changed their mind if, I don't know, you walked up to them with a briefcase of $2.5 million instead of just being a weirdo with a snuff film.
Yeah, and maybe called up an ad agency
Exactly.
to make a better fucking video.
Oh my God. Yeah, if you would have gotten one professional to work on this. Whatever. Either which way, it is fuck this guy. So Randy would get a bit of press for a short time during the campaign. And this would happen at, of course, my favorite place, the St. Anselm Lesser Known Candidates Debate in New Hampshire.
It's in the name, people. Like, all right, go on.
And this would mainly be because our greatest hero of American politics, Vermin Supreme, spent the final 3 minutes of the debate continually glitter bombing Randall in an attempt to make him gay.
God bless.
It mostly started with Vermin just standing above Randy and dumping glitter on him. But after a few minutes, I think Vermin got tired of standing, so he just sat back down next to Vermin and just started reaching into his pockets and just throwing residual glitter at him until he was forced to leave. And Randall's just sitting there, like, just taking it like a little bitch.
Yeah. The way he's lived his life, he doesn't yet know that that glitter's never going away.
No, it's still there to this day. I guarantee it. The real sad thing about this, though, is this would officially lead to Vermin being permanently banned from any future debates at St. Anselm College. #free Vermin.
Yeah.
You guys need him. He's a good man.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, with Super Tuesday and the Oklahoma primary coming up, Randall was making one hell of a push to shake the political world. He claimed to be campaigning with Ann Coulter, and when asked about how well he thought he would do in Oklahoma, he estimated that he was going to get anywhere between 5 to 15% of the vote. And of course he was wrong. He guessed too low.
No.
Randall Terry would leave Oklahoma with 18% of the vote and would win 12 counties.
Oh, Oklahoma.
But if it helps you feel any better, Jim Rogers, the dude who only wore a sweater and held a poster board, he got 13.8% of the vote and won 3 counties.
Hey.
And Barack, yeah, he'd easily win the state with 57.1% of the vote. But fuck if that isn't a bad sign and really kind of embarrassing. And to make things worse, Oklahoma is one of those states that hands out delegates to anyone who gets enough of the vote. So while Barack Obama got 35 delegates, Randall Terry got 7 and Jim Rogers got 3.
7? There's 7 too many.
He's officially in second place. And look, I'm not here to pretend like Barack Obama, our 2-term president, is going to end up losing renomination. That's not the fucking story here. There's no story. This is an anthology of nonsense. But for such recent history, I think it's bonkers that anyone barely remembers this happening, that the dude actually lost counties in the fucking election. He didn't win all the... It's fucking nuts. Which brings us to 1 week later. March 13th, Alabama. It's one of the 3 states running a Democratic primary that day. And once again, Obama cruises to an easy win. But Uncommitted has its best showing yet. Not only does Uncommitted take 16% of the vote, it wins 7 counties and is owed 8 delegates at the convention.
Oh, no.
So for those of you following, Barack Obama, most of the delegates, Uncommitted, 8, Randall Terry, 7, Jim Rogers, 3. We have a fucking race. So the next primary weirdness would hit on March 24th in the Louisiana primary. This time, though, it wouldn't come from Jim Rogers. And sadly, he only made the Oklahoma ballot, so he's gone from here on out. And oddly enough, Randall Terry actually didn't make the ballot either. In this state, Barack would get a new challenger via Tennessee attorney John Wolfe Jr. So John was born in 1954 in Nashville, Tennessee. In 1978, he would get his degree in political science from the University of Tennessee, then his law degree from the University of Memphis. And once again, there isn't a ton of info out there about John prior to his entrance into politics. But John would run for the first time in 1998 for Congress in Tennessee's 3rd District, a meandering section of land including John's home of Chattanooga. He'd run in the Democratic primary against teacher Greg Alford and former state senator Jim Lewis Jr. As for what kind of Democrat John was, well, I think I'll leave that to Republican candidate John Brooks to say. Brooks would end up dropping out of the race before the election, and on his way out, he endorsed Wolfe, stating, quote, "He's not a left-wing liberal freak. He makes some good sense." And with an endorsement like that, how the fuck could he not win? Well, I mean, the problem is, though, he is facing a state senator, and whether they're former or not, that can be some pretty tough competition. And while the morning after the primary, it looked like John was actually set to win, a final group of ballots would end up pushing Jim Lewis into the lead. And Lewis would go on to get crushed by incumbent Republican Congressman Zach Wamp. I prefer Zach. Zach Wamp, 66-33. But for John, it had been a close race, and now he had the bug. He can't stop. He'd run for mayor of Chattanooga in 2001, and finish a very distant fifth to future Republican Senator Bob Corker. In 2002, John hopped back into the race for Congress right at the time that the district lines had been redrawn to completely knock out the one stronghold of Democrats in the district and stretching it further north into regions that were strictly Republican, which means there is now zero coverage of the Democratic primary outside of just listing the two dudes running. And this time around, John would easily cruise to victory with 66% of the vote, and ready to be the non-liberal freak to challenge Zach Wham. And for the rest of the race, I only found 2 articles that mention John in any depth, and they're not exactly great. See, one featured his decision to run a political ad on the 1-year anniversary of 9/11, which was a day that most politicians had decided they weren't going to run any political ads as a sign of solidarity. So the ad that he ran was essentially him imploring the importance of, sticking together, of being Americans, but also stating the importance of not giving up freedoms for the sake of perceived safety. So you're not wrong, John. But still, the University of Wisconsin would also run a study and found that of the 61 political ads that had been aired in the entire nation on 9/11, 1/3 of them came directly from John Wolfe. So he not only ran it once, he ran this thing all fucking day.
Holy cow. Shameless.
And 33% would also be the total percentage of votes that he would end up winning against Congressman Womp.
Merp.
So John would take 2006 off, but come 2007, he was right back at it, this time running for state senate in the 10th district. And again, he would do fine, but he would end up losing to the current mayor of Chattanooga, Andy Burke. Of all of John's races, this one was probably about the one that he came the closest to winning, mainly because the 10th district was reliably Democratic. That aside, in 2010, he would make another run for Congress in the 3rd district. Once again, there was no coverage of the Dem primary, and once again, John ended up winning the nomination. And yep, he got crushed again, this time by the new GOP Congressman Chuck Fleischman. And after getting beat very badly once again, Una, why the fuck wouldn't you run for president? So it turns out John actually had a pretty solid reason to run against Obama. He viewed himself as the only progressive option for voters. That's right, within 14 years, John had turned into a goddamn commie freaknik. He wasn't like not a left-wing freak no more. No, he's like, people should have health insurance, and there should be a 2-state solution in the Middle East, and maybe we shouldn't support dictatorships, progressive things.
Oh God. I guess we've come a ways.
Yeah.
We're not even talking 2 states anymore. Yeah. We're not even touching that.
No. And that's the thing is, I'm sure he did have some other very progressive stances, but his website's very unclear and very hard to navigate. And there's a series of videos that are on YouTube, but the man just has this kind of southern, uncharismatic lawyer tilt to his voice that just makes it really difficult to care about what he's saying. I'm sure he's a very nice man. He looks like he's 7'20", and
oh my God.
He clearly cares about what he's talking about. He just doesn't have the charisma to make it work.
Amazing.
And to make things even worse, the Shreveport Times would note that 2 days before the primary in Louisiana, the Wolf's website was completely down.
That's a yikes.
So of course he won 12% of the vote.
What is this nation?
Yep. No working website, no clear platform, no sign of actually campaigning in the state. 12%. Fuck you. He also beat Barack in 3 parishes, which is like Louisiana's fancy French version of counties. And to top it all off, John Wolfe Jr. won 4 delegates. And yeah, Barack is a commanding lead in delegates at this point. But 3 randos and uncommitted now have freaking delegates, Una, and no one remembers this, and it drives me insane.
I'm amazed considering how, you look at the half-hearted coverage of the California recall, and everyone's just like, oh, well, this really isn't great for the Dems. We won by a landslide. We definitely won. So I just feel like if any Democrat, an incumbent no less, were to lose 4 delegates, forget even the others, just 4 delegates, be like, well, they're really on a rocky road now. Can they make it?
It blows my mind that Fox News didn't just take and run with this. This just seems so fucking easy. I don't know what scandal they were running with at the time anyway. I'm sure it's more important, but this just seems like it's not even fish in a barrel. This is like if you taped a fish to the end of a gun. It's, God damn it. And this isn't even the weirdest. We haven't even hit the strangest part. So April would mostly go back to normal for Barack. He'd win most states unanimously, but there'd be some occasional weirdness. In Maryland, uncommitted scored an impressive 11.5% of the vote, but missed out on delegates. In Texas, John Wolfe would get 5% of the vote and even win a county, but once again, no delegates for him. By May 8th, Barack had shored up the nomination. Literally nothing could happen to derail him being the Democratic nominee for president. Worst case scenario, he could be absolutely embarrassed by a sudden and unexpected primary result. So of course, we're off to West Virginia.
Oh, great.
So all of our previous candidates had not made the ballot there, but our last new runner-up did. And Una, holy fuck. Keith Russell Judd was born in 1958 in Pasadena, California. He has run as a write-in candidate for mayor of Albuquerque twice, once for governor of New Mexico, and 4 times for president since 2006. Now, the thing, though, is much of Keith's history is shrouded in very weird bullshit. He has claimed that he has attended the Bethany Nazarene College, the University of New Mexico, UCLA, Harvard, and something called the University of California at Los Alamos. He claims to be an Air Force veteran, while he also is the member of a dozen social organizations, including a stint in the Federation of Superheroes from 1976 to 1982. He has also claimed to be the son of actress Lillian Russell, who died 36 years before he was born. And I think at this point, we can safely say that we're about to reach that line here on Gadfly where do we make fun of a guy's mental health or not?
Okay.
So as such, I'm just going to stick with some major facts from Keith's life. And these main facts come from a period between 1997 and 2001. So according to the court case United States v. Judd 2001, Keith had threatened employees of the University of New Mexico. According to court documents, Keith began sending threatening postcards to the university in 1997, which included the phrase, quote, "Send the money back now, Keith Judd, last chance or dead." And when he didn't receive any money, he followed this up by sending a, quote, "semen-stained Playboy magazine that inside contained a keychain, his father's discharge papers, and a knife."
Oh, this is no bueno.
I mean, like I said, we're not going to make fun of a guy's mental health. I'm trying to put together a list of like what symbolism was involved with this.
Yes.
Or what was the purpose other than I need to wrap the knife with something so the post office doesn't hear it. I'll include the keychain so that they think that's the jangling.
Throws them off. Yeah.
The discharge papers and the Playboy will keep it from rattling around a ton. Yeah, this is going to work. I'm going to get my money back. So he would be arrested in 1999 under, quote, 2 charges of mailing a threatening communication with the intent to extort money or something of value. And after being found guilty, Keith began writing letters to jurors from his trial, which kind of led to people being like, hey, you're kind of a bigger threat than we thought previously, so that we're going to have to, I don't know, take that into account for your sentencing, my bro.
Yeah. Also, who gave you these addresses?
Oh, right? I don't fucking know. So he would be found guilty and sentenced to 17 and a half years in prison and ordered to pay $20,000 to the people he threatened. And from his prison cell in Texas, he proceeded to file 36 appeals to his case, all of which were dismissed. In fact, according to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, Keith has filed 238 frivolous lawsuits between 1997 and 2011. And yet somehow he also found the time to get on the ballot in West Virginia. So according to the West Virginia Secretary of State, Keith was able to do this by filling out a certificate of announcement and paying $2,500.
Where did he get the money? And he's in prison?
I honestly don't know. Now, Keith did supply his platform to the West Virginia media, which essentially claimed that the 10th Amendment makes all states sovereign. That's right, fuckers. Keith is also a sovereign fucking citizen. He's not driving, he's traveling. That's an admiralty flag. I shouldn't be in prison. I'm my own lawyer.
No!
And with no ability to campaign in person or make a website or do anything other than be the only other option to Barack Obama on the ballot, Keith Russell Judd won 40.6% of the vote.
40.
So a lot of the reason behind this is that Barack Obama had said some mean things about coal. And by mean, I mean correct.
So we're aware. They weren't mean so much as they were factually accurate.
Exactly. Like, hey, coal's gonna go away someday. Maybe we should start getting ready now.
Yeah, maybe you want better, cleaner jobs that aren't coal.
It's a lot, yeah. And so essentially the Democrats in West Virginia who are still 1850 Democrat rules, all stated, like a lot of them said, we're probably not going to vote for Barack Obama for president in this primary. So you have fucks like Jim Justice and Joe Manchin and all of these like pseudo Democrats saying, we're going to vote for someone else. And a lot of people are hearing them say that. But the only other option is Keith Russell Judd.
Congratulations.
And by doing that, Keith Russell Judd ends up winning 10 counties. And do you know how much of a percent you have to get to win delegates in West Virginia, Una?
How much?
15%. So Keith Cum Knife Judd is owed up to 8 delegates.
From prison in Texas.
From Pasadena, Texas, this man has won 8 delegates just from being the only guy who's like, I think I will file paperwork and just not have anything in my commissary for 2 years.
This is unreal.
And that would be bad enough, but come May 22nd, Barack would have one of the most embarrassing days of the primary season. In Arkansas, John Wolf Jr. would be the only man on the ballot alongside Barack, and John Wolf pulled in 41.6% of the vote and won 37 of the 75 counties in the state. And this was good enough for him to get 19 of the 47 available delegates. Meanwhile, in Kentucky, Uncommitted wasn't going to fucking sit by and let everyone else have all the good news. Facing Barack one-on-one, the invisible candidate got 42.1% of the vote and won over half the counties in the state and took 34 of the 73 delegates. Going into the Democratic National Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Democrats would be facing a genuinely motley crew. Sure, Barack had the majority of the 3,053 delegates, but you also had a retired recluse Jim Rogers with 3, anti-abortion dickhead Randall Terry with 7, federal prisoner Keith Judd with 8, progressive-ish lawyer John Wolf Jr. with 23, and that jerk Uncommitted with 72. And look, we all know Uncommitted is the silent type and isn't going to put up much of a verbal fight, but how are all these other delegates going to act? What kind of drama are we going to get? The answer is nothing happened. And I think this might actually be the moral of the story, Una, because you remember how in the last episode we were talking about how if you vote for a major party candidate for president, you're not actually voting for them, you're voting for delegates. You're voting for electors.
Right.
Well,
right.
The Democratic Party, as does the Republican, states that if you're running for president, yeah, you can get on the ballot yourself, but you also have to present a slate of delegates. You have to have enough delegates to equal the number of delegates available in the state. And if you're not able to do that, well, it doesn't really matter how much you got in a percentage of votes. It means you don't have any delegates. So I guess we got to give all of them to Barack. Sorry. And yeah, essentially the Democratic Party in all of these states refused to give the delegates to these people who genuinely won.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that is actually one of the things that burns me the most is like, yeah, technically you could run for president, but you got to get delegates. If you don't have that, you're pretty much just wasting your time.
I'm sorry. Here's some frequent flyer miles.
Off. I am not flying to Seattle this time of year. I will wait till spring. But yeah, there is no other position in America where you have to have like a shadow docket of candidates to run alongside of you for you to be able to win. It is such bullshit. And yeah, I'm complaining about John Wolfe Jr. not being able to go to the national convention with 23 delegates, or like Keith Russell Judd sending whoever the fuck he knows with like weird penthouse magazines on a fucking flag. But they still won. They still deserve to fucking be there.
Yeah, it still would have been better than whatever Clint Eastwood was doing with that empty chair.
He was introducing Uncommitted and the 72. And yeah, and it's entirely for this reason is why I don't think we ever talk about how fucking weird the 2012 Democratic primary was. It was so atypical and odd, but since the final numbers made it look like Barack Obama just got everything, no one really remembers otherwise. I mean, if you look at a map, you could see how many counties that Barack Obama lost. And it's astounding compared to the others. And as we know, Barack Obama would defeat Mitt Romney and win a second term. Jim Rogers, he would end up running for Senate one last time in 2014. But this time he'd end up losing in the Democratic primary runoff. But later that year, he would also die at the age of 79.
Oh,
when asked if there was a moment where he was asked by the Oklahoman if he would attend a debate with Connie Johnson, who I believe was the other Democrat who was in the runoff. It's like, hey, would you participate in the debate? And he's like, well, my health's not really that good, and I can't really see that well, so I can't really read my notes, but I'll see how I'm feeling.
Oh,
yeah.
He didn't answer.
It's a very polite no.
Why are you calling?
I mean, it seemed like they're just like, oh, you're at this restaurant, can we talk? And he's like, yeah, fuck it, sure.
Oh,
polite no on your engagement, but
yes.
Randall Terry is still dicking around like an asshole. He'd end up running for Congress in Florida's 20th district in 2012 against Alcee Hastings. He'd end up running as an independent. And I think, it's important to say that Alcee Hastings, also a guy thoroughly beloved in his very Democratic district, a district so Democratic that no Republican would run in that race. And so Randall just showed up as an independent.
It's like Bizarro World, Oklahoma over there.
He would end up losing 88-12.
Good Lord.
And since then, he has expanded his bullshit to advocating for making all forms of birth control illegal, and for all women who, quote, kill their baby via birth control or IUD or what have you, that they should be jailed for murder. However, he does have a bit of a fun side. You see, he's also written and directed a movie called Time Boys.
Oh, God.
I think it stars his grandchildren. And it's about 4 kids from 1908 who accidentally end up in 2016 and then have to build a time machine to get back to their time. It kind of seems like they had a rough cut finished in 2018, but they still haven't released it since then. And on the Facebook page for the movie, occasionally you'll get actors asking, hey, when's this going to come out?
Oh, no.
Which has made them even more frustrating because some of the newer posts have been about how Time Boys 2 is currently filming. And apparently they've also announced that it's going to be a trilogy in the middle of not even finishing Time Boys 2. So, I mean, I guess Godspeed, Randall, as long as it keeps you out of people's business, make as many Time Boys as you want.
Yeah, focus on the Time Boys.
And then we have John Wolfe, who ran for president again in 2016, but he wasn't able to break out in any states and cobbled together about 7,300 votes nationwide. His last campaign came in 2018 when he ran for U.S. Senate in Tennessee, where he finished a deep in last place behind former Governor Phil Bredesen. And since then, it kind of seems like John's returned to practicing as an attorney, and it kind of seems like he's not going to run in 2020, but there's still plenty of time for him to change his mind. And finally, we got Keith Judd, who'd be released from prison on a supervised release program in 2013. However, this would be revoked after it was discovered that Keith had contacted the person he threatened back in 1997.
Oh, boy.
He was then sent back to prison for a year and then served 2 more years of supervised release after that, where he didn't contact his former victim.
Okay.
In 2016, he was a free man, and as such, he ran for president again.
Aww.
He ended up getting 1.3% of the vote in West Virginia as a Democrat.
Just didn't have the same traction.
Nope. It kind of sucks when there's multiple Democrats running and you can't like stand out. However, he also had the same problems as John Wolfe and really wasn't able to get the name brand going. But that being said, he actually did better and scored 20,000 votes. So, Una, what did we learn from this?
Nothing. I learned nothing.
I mean,
this has just been a whirlwind. This is like, the like Gravitron.
Yeah,
I just feel like we threw you and me and a bunch of candidates from 2012. Like, I'm just trying to picture, like, what was I listening to in 2012? Where even was I? Like, what was like?
You know what? Let me open up that Billboard Top 100.
Yeah.
We would have been listening to somebody that I used to know by Gautier and Kimbra.
Okay.
Call Me Baby by Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yes. Oh, now this is placing it for me.
Yeah. It's a lot of decent tunes, really. That's What Makes You Beautiful by One Direction. Yeah, I mean,
how much I like that song.
It was a dark and weird year for music.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
it was a dark and weird year for primaries.
Yeah, so I guess really all I would say is like we got to get rid of that electoral college, man. It's not good. Nothing good comes from this.
Bumming me out so hard.
Is it too much to ask for just a tiny bit of drama at conventions now? I'm not gonna lie. It was probably my darkest hope in 2020, but a part of me was really hoping for a contested convention for the Democrats, just because I was like, I just want to see it. I want to see what happens. I want to see Joe Biden get like really pissed off because someone told him no, and then like out of nowhere Hillary fucking shows up and everyone's just like, everyone drops the delegates and all the delegates are like, fuck it, we're doing it again. And oh my god, I wanted that so bad. It would have been terrible and we'd be living in a dark timeline right now, but
we really would.
I just want to see, I just want a little action, man. One little cocaine in my fucking.
Yeah, I feel like this is the open world video game that we need, because it's like first person shooters. It's all about like, like you're in the war, you're an active soldier, like it's getting your heart rate up. This is what we need for you. It's like constitutional convention.
Yeah, give me a freaking VR headset and
Well,
and to make things even funnier in 2020, it would have been on Zoom. A contested convention on Zoom.
Oh God, one's muted. It's just chaos.
Nope. It's just screaming. It's just backfeed and. Oh my god, it would have been a glorious nightmare. I mean, on the upside, I didn't die from alcohol poisoning, when that would have happened. So, you win some, you lose some. Either which way, I hope something came of this very weird lesson in history. I'm looking forward to the 2024 primary with Joe. I'm sure it's going to be just as
my god. Oh.
Well, I guess it's a long way of saying Andrew Yang 2024 forward.
Absolutely not.
The easiest way to go forward is through the center lane.
You wash your mouth out with soap.
Everyone, thank you so much for listening to Gadfly. We'll see you next week on Gadfly. Do. Don't mail knives. Don't do it. Okay.
Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?